That's not the right angle. Okay. Alright.
Hello, I'm here with Adam Neely, who's an awesome musician. He's got a really great YouTube channel, and we've been pals for a while, and it just made a lot of sense for us to make videos together because he's got this crazy great perspective. Look at it.
I have a really big head. I don't know if you noticed from the camera. It's
ridiculous.
Really big.
It's ridiculous. And it's packed with knowledge, and so what we decided to do is make some videos together, and what we're going to do is 2-player music games. And these games are designed to be like a simple way that you can sit down with another musician who plays an instrument or sings or whatever and practice improvising together in a cool structured way and see what you learn.
Yeah, so for our first game that we did a Counterpoint game that Ben came up with, where it's basically one musician is going to play half notes and improvise in half notes, just long notes, 2 notes per measure. And then the other person, while the first person is playing half notes, will improvise in eighth notes. And then after one measure goes by, you flip them so that the other person plays the eighth notes and the other person plays the half notes. And it's kind of fun because it's imitative. This idea of imitative counterpoint, 2 melodies going on at the same time that kind of like weave in and out of each other, is one that's been going on for a really long time in Western music. It's kind of the foundation of a lot of Western music, in fact. And so this is a fun way for you to kind of get into that by improvising around it.
Let's roll the clip.
So that was fun, Ben.
Yeah, it was a good time.
So what are your thoughts on doing that?
Well, what is interesting to me is that we sort of naturally went from being pretty straight in our roles, like da, da, blah, 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 to starting to be more nuanced and changing up things a bit rhythmically. And I think that was fine. You know, even though we kind of broke the rules a little, it set a foundation, but us having those limitations, it set the stage for a good improv where we were listening to each other.
Yeah, like that was definitely the interesting thing, because we did a couple takes of it, and it always, I don't want to say devolved into it, but it always ended up that we were like getting excited with whatever we were doing, and like it always turned into like, well, we're now going to kind of like bend the rules a little bit, because you know, it just made more musical sense. But it was that leaping off point of like, this is your role and then this is your role, and then eventually it evolved further from that. I think that's the really exciting thing, because then you can like make music with another person in this sort of idea. And I think also relating it back to the idea of like, this is a very old kind of Western style of making music, of in terms of like 2 different voices going back and forth. Mm-hmm. That idea of like branching out from like a strict rule is like, there's a long lineage of that. Like composers would do that all the time. They'd stick with like, and if you think about the way that fugues work, and a fugue is a particular kind of Western style, like a classical sort of style. Normally there's one person that's playing something, and then another person enters, and then it's kind of that back and forth that we just did, but then eventually they just kind of do their own thing. Like
Serpent-like. It's kind of snaky.
It's very snaky, and that was kind of cool that we just kind of naturally did that.
I think it has to do with the fact that we're completing each other's sentences, and there's a sort of momentum to that. If I'm playing chords or long notes, and then I'm hearing a line at the same time, and then you start playing chords or long notes. Your chords are finishing my chord progression, and then my line is just finishing your line, and so thinking about straight eighth notes starts to fade away, and it just becomes listening really well. And I think any two-person game at its best will result in a lot of listening and learning about the other player.
It's also interesting too, one other final thought on this is that because I'm playing bass and you're playing guitar, whenever I'm playing a long note, like or whatever, it kind of, the chord progression, quote unquote, kind of starts revolving around whatever I'm doing. So and then I play that. It's like, oh my god, ooh, that's a pretty A minor. Or, and that's like an E, whatever, the C of E or whatever.
Yeah, it'd be a totally different thing.
Which is kind of cool, and that's a fun thing about playing bass versus guitar. But then guitar, you can obviously play these really pretty chords, and I can't do these contortions quite as easily. Yeah, I never do that. That's another video. If you pay attention to if you go over to my channel, you'll learn how to do that on bass, on Adam Neely's bass lessons. I'm not going to show it to you right now.
It's so good.
Oh my god.
Thanks for watching, pals.
It's a new meaning to tasty licks.